I just realized one thing here. We have only the podcast audio. We don't have the video.
What do you mean?
I forgot to press the record button on the audio on the podcast of the video. But we don't have to start it now. We could have just did an overview of everything. Oh man. Should we start? Oh my god, I can't believe that. That was hilarious. Oh, that is so
Okay.
Oh my god.
All right, YouTube.
Oh, so what are we
Welcome.
Are we gonna continue?
No, you shut the fuck up. You're cut off, dog. All right.
Oh my god.
Video podcast people. Hello. Hold on. Let me get all this shit out of here. Christ. No. There we go. YouTube. Hello. Welcome to Popcorn Chicken, where we record for fucking an hour and 15 minutes and Elvin doesn't hit record. You know, it happens sometimes. So we talked about MoonKnight for a bunch. This is Popcorn Chicken. We're going to talk about MoonKnight, episode 3. Today I'm drinking Goodridge and Williams, their Northern Grain whiskey. This is a Canadian. Shut the fuck up. I'm talking about what I'm drinking. This is what we do in the video because I've already drank all the other drinks that I had. We recorded for a goddamn hour already.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to an A&R special, a MoonKnight Disney Plus special in our Popcorn Chicken segment. We got episode 3 breakdown today, and I've got my fellow archaeologists, Justin and Nathan. There's only one of us that's an archaeologist. My name's Elvin, and I am not it. Our buddy Justin is excited to talk about MoonKnight. He can't wait because he couldn't contain himself yesterday. We
totally didn't record for an hour. And
no, we did not.
Minutes.
I don't know what are you talking about.
Rather talk. No, we didn't record. That's the problem.
It was a multiverse phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have the archaeologist today. Nathan is here. Nathan,
hello,
welcome. There. Ready to roll today?
Well, all set, excited. It was a good episode.
Well, we'll figure that out in a second here.
Oh, you guys disagree?
No, I didn't say that. We're gonna get into it, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the mummies.
I'm not gonna remember all my jokes that I made. No,
there were jokes.
If they kind of lie flat, it's because I've already done them.
Don't worry.
Nobody watched.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is our first time talking about it.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen you in weeks.
All right, let's get into this show.
Nathan, what are you drinking?
Oh, sorry. I always forget about our drinks.
I'm drinking the blood of children.
That's great.
Isn't that a fertility statue or whatever?
This is from the Shameful Tiki Room in Vancouver.
Hell yeah.
By the way, if anybody's listening to us and doesn't know what he's talking about, go to our YouTube channel and watch us. We're on there. Go watch us, and then you could kind of see what we're all about, what we're doing. Our Popcorn Chicken segment is all about movies and TV shows. So, yeah. And then, Justin, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Speyside Scotch. It's a collab. It's a little wee bottle, but it's from the BC Highland Games edition. So it's a competition thing, and it is a Scotch that was matured in bourbon casks and then finished in red wine barriques. I always want to say barriquettes, but there's no T, but BARRIQUES. Thanks, French, for that word.
And I am drinking zero sugar Starlight Coca-Cola.
You're on the Starlight. I still got to try that.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I got to find it. Is it like readily available?
At gas stations.
Really? Oh, you can just find it wherever? Oh, yeah, obviously I haven't.
Where did you find yours, Nathan?
At the grocery store.
Which one?
The Starlight. Oh, which grocery store?
Yeah,
This obscure Japanese grocery store. I found it there.
I have not seen this at Walmart.
Oh, really?
The only place I see it is Chevron gas station, which is down the street
Weird.
from my house.
I've also seen it at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like convenience stores and gas stations are
I'll have
the
to-
ones carrying this. I have not seen it at Walmart, so because they don't come in. Like I haven't seen it in cases. I've only seen the individual bottles.
Then just singles.
Yeah, which is and it's limited too. So I think at end of this month, I believe they're done. They're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, that means you got to buy a couple crates of them because it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
you gotta buy a flat.
Yeah, stock them away. All right, let's get into this episode. Episode 3, MoonKnight. We're halfway there to the show, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you like the show.
Oh yeah, it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's gonna end real fast here. Let's talk about the very
Pick it up,
first.
though.
Let's start about the beginning here.
Very good place to start.
This was sort of the beginning. We start off with her getting her passports, right?
Layla.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What are you guys' thoughts on this whole scene where she's getting this fake passport made? Well, first of all, anytime we see numbers, we always look for Easter eggs, right? So I looked around in here. I looked around to see if there's any Easter eggs or anything like that. If people are wondering, well, did she get snapped during the Thanos snap thing? Well, it doesn't really matter. This passport is fake, so the date's not exactly correct. But the one I noticed is on her date of birth. It's not her real date of birth, but there's a number here that's actually relevant to MoonKnight. It's the year 1994, which happens to be so Mark Spector MoonKnight Volume 1 ran from 1989 to 1994. It ended in 1994. That's the only relevant number that I can see to make sense in the MoonKnight lore. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's an Easter egg, maybe it's just coincidence, but I thought I'd bring that up. What are you guys' thought on this scene where she gets a fake passport? There's a little talk about her and her father being archaeologists, her dad, being aware, being involved in Egypt for a while. Did you guys like that, or what do you guys think?
Because her dad's Nathan Drake. Duh. Obviously. Speaking of Nathan Drake and whatever the hell his name is.
Sully?
What's his name?
Sully?
No. The kid who plays Nathan Drake.
Tom Holland?
Oh,
Tom Holland. Speaking of Tom Holland, Nathan, did you know or catch this that in the beginning bits where it shows the Marvel thing, right? The Marvel intro. Whoa, your light's losing its shit. It just got disconnected from the Wi-Fi. Thanks.
I think it did.
Yo, that's so trippy. It's like
Yeah.
Where
No,
does
now he's
my
just having a
phone
disco
go?
party.
the pharaohs are talking.
Hey,
Gods are
Google,
coming.
turn the lights blue.
That's Khonshu.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
quickly, one moment, I'll deal with that.
Gods are pissed off.
Khonshu's coming after.
Yeah. All right.
He's
We're
gonna turn the camera on, and it's gonna be a whole bunch of bandages wrapped around his head.
Yeah. There's just going to be
Toilet paper.
fucking CIA or whatever.
Yeah,
coming in.
turn it off, come back to the camera on, and I'm just wearing like a white hood and all that.
Well, you don't want to say white.
No, not like that. I remember
A white cowl. There.
Yes.
white towel.
Dio, Daddy's talking. I know. I love you too. But in the opening crawl or the opening logos and intros and whatever, the Marvel one, which normally shows a bunch of people, it shows like Captain America,
The beginning
Falcon,
credits.
whatever.
Yes.
Beginning credits, the Marvel logo.
Yes.
I'm showing a bunch of scenes from movies and stuff. There is a part that you see Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon didn't used to be in that beginning bit. You know who he replaced?
Who?
Spooderman. Because at this point is Far From Home or No Way Home or whatever, something home part. And everyone, Doctor Strange did the spell thing and everyone's forgotten who Spider-Man is. So
That's pretty cool. Huh.
in the intro of all of the
Disney
MoonKnight
shows,
things.
Marvel shows.
There's no Spider-Man because nobody remembers who he is.
Huh.
There's your fun movie fact. It's the only one I got.
moving along here. So, Nathan, what are your thoughts here? Like, did you find this annoying that she has to get a fake passport and all this stuff? Like, what do you think?
No, I wasn't like it's always kind of cool seeing this underground kind of almost Jason Bourne-esque kind of scene. The conversation they had though made me think of the comics because she's married to Mark.
Whoa.
Oh,
Layla's not married to Mark.
She's not
In the comics. No.
not in the comics, but she's married to Mark in the show.
In the show, yes.
And she's got a father who is an archaeologist. It's making me think a lot about the comics and maybe that they've just renamed her character and changed a couple things about her.
So they confirmed that the character Marlene in the comics was the love interest of Mark Spector. And what they've done is they sort of combined Marlene and her father in the comics to made Layla into two characters into one. Like they've combined the two. But this episode does talk about the father. So I just think that they just used the father as a sort of a reference, but Layla is basically two characters put together. That's what she is, right? Because I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know why they needed to make the change. Did they want to make someone more Egyptian-esque in the show? Because Marlene was blonde and blue eyes in the comics, and maybe they felt that it wasn't being authentic to the scenes in Egypt. Having somebody from that area in the show, like someone that looks like that from that area, maybe Marvel thought it would be a better approach. For me, I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. Like, honestly, I don't care if it's blonde, blue eyes or an Egyptian looking, or I don't know, doesn't matter what culture. The fact that the thing that bothered me is how they changed the character's name and made it all new character for no reason.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a 6 episodes show, and they do this with a lot of Marvel stuff where
they always do it. They always
a lot of things because for this, and like whether it does second season or whatever is still unbeknownst to the creator. So it's instead of having like like how many issues of MoonKnight have there been?
Like in total?
Yeah,
I don't know at the top of my head, but there's been several. I mean, it's been around for over 30 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's tons of time for them to get all the backstories and extra characters or whatever. This maybe 2 seasons, then they're just kind of be like, here's the story beats. There's an archaeologist person, there's someone with split personalities, and there's Ethan Hawke. Fucking there's a story. So
for me, it's just, I don't know. There's no need to change this character or make a new character out of this. They could just use Marlene. To me, I don't even care about this character, whether it be Layla or Marlene. I just think this character is really pointless in the show. This character doesn't. That's my opinion. It doesn't really. This character doesn't offer me enough to say that she's valuable to the show, and maybe that will change in episode 4 and 5.
Sure,
but right now, the 3 episodes that I've seen, she is not an important character for me that moves the story or makes the story more compelling going forward. So,
also, to your point of like they changed her, they haven't really made that a story beat, like her not being blonde hair, blue eyed sort of thing. So it's not.
To me, the appearance is. I don't care about the appearance. Like I said,
yeah, I'm saying that the appearance is really the only thing. It would have
been nice to keep the name, like sort of like
I see.
Like the name Marlene, like she could have been Marlene and look like this. I don't care.
Oh, okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
For me, it would have been nice because then you can, you're like, oh, I remember reading. This is Marlene. Okay, I remember reading this kind of thing, right? So to me, that was the more important thing.
But then they might have just been like, oh well, we've kind of changed her into this. This backstory has changed, so we'll just give her a different name. So then that way, purists out there, because I mean, you kind of have to adhere to some people where if they had kept the same name and changed your backstory, people would have been like, oh, what the fuck, you changed the story. But then this way they kind of have the creative freedom to just be like, there's a new character, we're telling the story of MoonKnight, here's the general synopsis of it, and this is kind of our rendition of it.
I just think, to me, I think Disney's just woke. That's why. Nathan, what's your take on this? We're spending way too much time on this opening scene, so we're not Okay,
I'll wrap it up with the middle ground. I do
Yes.
think there's certainly an element of them trying to, be different, show off, be woke a bit.
Yeah.
But also, I do agree with Justin. If they portrayed Marlene and then showed her different, just slightly differently, even if she looked the same as the comics, but her character was the background story of it. She was like part archaeologist, part the original character. That mixed together, I think that would upset some fans. So I think this was just a way for them to avoid that.
But this is upsetting more fans. The purists.
Well, fuck them.
Make a mistake.
Well, no, but here's the thing, though. But if your argument is, if they made Marlene not look like Marlene from the comics, people will be upset. But people are more upset that they've changed the character altogether.
Yeah, but they haven't changed it. They've made a new one.
If you're to weigh the two, one that's trying to be Marlene, one that's not Marlene, the purists and the comic book nerds are going to go with the one that's trying to be Marlene. At least they'll say there was an attempt to keep that character going. This negates that character altogether. It stops now. That character doesn't exist anymore going forward, right?
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Well, that's his love interest, Mark's story. She's
but they've
her
also
backstory.
changed Mark.
No. But I'm talking about his backstory. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, people are more upset about this than maybe not making Marlene correct.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It might have just been a miscalculation by Disney. They thought that this would please more people than it didn't.
Disney's
just
been
like
doing
putting Mandarin into an episode.
Yeah, this at least at least episode 2. Languages wasn't an issue, right, Justin?
Fucking knee high. That's the
people are still talking about that.
The best Chinese I've ever heard. Knee high, man.
The next part is when we see
they go to Tatooine. Ethan Hawke finally in Tatooine.
Is this Tatooine?
No, so I've got two guesses. This is either the Valley of the Kings, which most likely that this is which is the very, very famous valley that
all the dead people go to.
So in Egyptian history, they used to have like big monuments and temples, and the bodies would be buried there, and you can actually go there to worship the dead. But they kept getting robbed, and
of
so
course.
what do you have to hide it, and so they started burying all
and
the
they still got robbed.
All the kings, and they still got robbed.
It could also be Jakku. Or Geonosis. I think it might be Geonosis, actually.
It looks
so right. Nathan, he says the Jeeps in the back here are very first renditions of Star Wars vehicles.
Yeah, those are
these are ones from Earth that didn't have the floating mechanisms in yet.
Those are GMC speeders. The GM speeders.
And everyone behind them, what are they, rebels or something? They look like they're just
they're Tusken Raiders.
Raiders.
They just they haven't done the CG for this part. This is a pre-production picture.
And this guy next to him is a Wookiee almost.
Oh boy.
So anyways, let's get back into the show here. So he's got the, what is it called again? The Scarab?
Scarab. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So he's got it, and as you can see, anyone who's watching us, but if you're not watching us, I'll try to narrate it for you or describe it for you. The Scarab wings fold back in and point down. So this is obviously a compass, a directional tool to tell Arthur where Amit's burial site is. Correct, Nathan?
Yes.
So we see in the picture here that it's pointing downwards, which I thought was really cool. It's like, hey, there it is. Dig here, motherfuckers. Dig right here, right now. So he gets his fellow comrades here that are following, and they're all really nice and very happy to be with him, right? They're all hugging him and high-fiving him, which means he has done a great job of brainwashing these people.
Mm-hmm.
And they are digging away at this area. What are your guys' thought on this? Like, what do you think of this whole situation? Nathan?
Okay, I'm going to predict something.
Oh, here we go.
Once they dig down, there will be a reference to Indiana Jones somewhere. There's going to be a reference somewhere, just a little Easter egg. It might be like a hieroglyph of
Does this remind you of Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah, this does. This definitely does. Because obviously, to find dig sites like this, archaeologists don't go around with a magic object that points where to dig.
Yeah, they don't go around with a ender eye or ender pearl.
What if Brendan Fraser just walked by and go, "Nope, it's not there."
Brendan Fraser's gonna play a mummy.
Yeah,
in a sarcophagus.
I don't think he could fit in one of those.
Shots fired. Shots.
I love Brennan. He's great.
Any chance of us landing him on our show has just been out the door now. No, we love you, Brendan. Come on our show. He's probably not watching this. All right, so one of you guys want to sort of take it from here, Justin? You wanna?
Yeah. Then he starts digging, and then they all hug, and I don't remember because I watched it yesterday, and then you and I talked about it.
Nathan, do you want to enlighten Justin on this?
I may be skipping a scene here, but doesn't it then shift to the chase/fight scene?
Oh yeah, the chase scene on the roof with Fennec Shand. Remember?
This is not Star Wars. It's wrong
Star Wars.
It's the other Disney franchise.
Yeah, no, and then they're on a rooftop. Fucking
with Mark. Yeah,
and he's.
I was going to actually talk about it afterwards, but okay, sure.
Was there a scene before that I'm missing?
No, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to go in order. We can go in rough areas.
Yeah, it's not like we've ever done that before or anything. But
all right, let's talk about the chase scene. He's jumping. So this also indicates that he doesn't need the suit.
I like that.
He doesn't need the power. He's very capable of fighting without the powers, right? And I thought it was a cool scene or overhead camera. The camera angles in some parts of the beginning were good, and then it just kind of dropped off after where the fighting scene began. So you saw this scene. Did you like it yourself, Nathan?
So I like to imagine it as if Disney made Jason Bourne,
yes,
and then scaled the budget down a little bit for the choreography. That's kind of how I imagined it.
I mentioned that yesterday. I noticed that the choreography for this episode wasn't that great. It wasn't anything special. But the fight scenes, so he gets to the roof. There's guys and they're stabbing some dude or something, and he was like, "Oh, I wanted to talk to that guy."
Hey, he's going to help me find the burial site.
Yeah, they do some like capoeira or fucking. What's the Nathan? You might know this. What's the like Mossad dudes? The martial art they do, where it's just like made to every motion is to kill somebody. What is it?
Oh, can't remember. I thought you were gonna make.
You know the one.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about.
It is called Krav Maga. Anyway, so they do some like Krav Maga shit, and then Mark is like, "Oh, we're dancing," and then they do some fighting, and then he gets a reflection of the knife or something like that. And also he's holding back too. So like the kid, when he grabs him, he like goes a fist and then he just like bitch slaps him. But like the fights, like the stuff in this, none of it was bad. It was
okay.
It was just, yeah, it was like fine. It was like, okay, yeah, they're fighting. And then
it was a Disney Plus TV show level.
Totally, yeah. I got like kind of like CW vibes.
Yeah.
Like the fight.
It's a show,
like,
guys.
They planned it, but it wasn't like an artist.
Practiced it in the parking lot for a couple hours, and that was it. Right.
Nothing was bad. Even like rewatching it, it was like, yeah, it was fine. Nothing was bad. But then he's like holding the guy up at knife point, and then he sees a reflection of Steven. And this whole episode is completely flipped. So like normally we were Steven, seeing a reflection of Mark, and Mark's trapped, and now it's complete opposite.
Yeah.
And like the fight that we got into last week of like who's the good guy
that was
or
juicy,
who we like or whatever, it's absolutely flipped now. It's just like, okay, now I'm seeing the
Team Mark right here, baby. Team Mark.
Yeah, now
right
I'm
here.
seeing the situation from Mark's point of view and stuff. So you're getting that kind of character. This episode was really good for character development. But you see the reflection of Steven in the knife, and then Steven takes over. So Mark like blacks out, and then he wakes up in a cab, which
who said it?
Reference.
This guy.
That guy. Oh,
so the reference, I immediately thought right away, okay, wait, did they just say that they didn't both do anything, and he ends up in the cab? I immediately thought of Jake Lockley, which is the third persona, right? And he is a cab driver. So voila. Right away, I'm like, wow, this is a great way to slide that in really, nonchalant. Nobody saw that coming, right?
But they don't really.
Well, they
kind of do.
They hinted,
like he's in a cab.
Hinted.
Yeah. So it's like
hinted.
They nodded to it. And then he's in
and
a
only
cab.
people who have read the comic books are going to know that nod, right?
He's in the cab, and then he's like, where am I going? Whoa, calm down.
I don't know why, but
Nathan's like, damn it, I did not know about this.
You're cut off, dog.
This straight up. So this top was on, and for no reason,
is that a tomb?
Popped up.
It looks like a mummy's
shaker.
It
does kind of look like a sarcophagus, actually.
But for no reason at all, it just popped off and fell.
I'm telling
off.
you, Khonshu is in that room, bro.
Get the fuck out of your house.
First it was the lights, now it's your.
Yeah. So he's in the cab, and then he asks the cab driver, well, where am I going? And he's like, what's with the accent? I thought you weren't from around here or whatever. So he's like switched personality, switched accents. Now this is actually, what did he say? I have the episode up now just to help. But he says, oh yeah, so he speaks Arabic to the guy because Mark can speak Arabic. And then he was like, why are you acting like a foreigner? Which we assume it was Steven. Because we're like, somebody else took over. And then he's like, where are you taking me? And he's like, taking me to the airport. And he's like, okay. And then he sees the guys again. He gets out, and they're like, just let us go. And then he goes to like interrogate them, asking where Honshu or whatever the fuck his name is, Hans Zimmer, I don't know. He does that, and then he blacks out again. And then they're on this top of a cliff, and he's just killed the last guy except for the kid. And then he looks down at the reflection in the knife or whatever, and he's like, Steven, what the fuck? And he's like, that wasn't me. So there is a third personality that's just murking dudes.
Yeah. And Jake is one of these guys who gets information. He's sort of the person that gets all the details and information they need. So I'm thinking that he showed up because they need to find out where the burial site is. So he has decided to come out, and do, all this. But here's the thing. Khonshu is aware, is he not, that there's another third person involved? Because after all, Khonshu is present at all times with him.
I don't think he is, because...
Well, how would he not be, though?
Because he would have known that Mark had lost control over Steven way before. Because he kind of kept it from him that, like, he was losing control over him.
But keep in mind, though, Khonshu is a bit of a douchebag. And
absolutely. He's a fucking 4-year-old.
So maybe he doesn't want Mark and Steven to know that Jake is looking for all the information. Because he's a douchebag and wants Jake. Like, he always favors... It's funny how this episode, you see him shifting towards liking Steven or allowing Steven to stay in that body or in that presence, right?
Well, because he's self-sabotaging a lot less.
Yeah.
And he is actually being useful. So like in the first 2 episodes, he would just like steal the body and then just throw a gun at a guy that they were like, we need that motherfucker dead. Did he just throw the gun? And then he just kept fucking everything up. Now he's less in shock because he is at least aware of what's going on. So when it's not straight up murdering people, he's usually Ethan Hawke. So he knows like there is a bad guy. Khonshu's a douche, but like this guy's worse. So he's kind of going on like the lesser of 2 evils thing. And so, yeah, in the right situations, he's still willing to help because it is still his likelihood and his livelihood that's on the line.
So where are we at now? He's basically talking to Khonshu on that cliff. Is that where we at?
Yeah.
And Khonshu does that crazy thing. Nathan, do you want to take us through this?
Oh, that scene was okay. It's never fun seeing someone die, but it was kind of funny. He's like, just hold him over the cliff. He's a kid. Don't worry, he won't die. He'll tell you what you need to know.
Yeah, he'll
and of
talk.
course, he goes. He's holding the kid over the cliff, asking him to reveal some information, and of course, the kid cuts his scarf or the cloth that's holding him up. And immediately falls and just thud. And Khonshu's like, well, I didn't think he was going to do that. There's that scene. I'm embarrassed to say that made me laugh so hard.
Well, and then Steven calls him a pigeon after. So he turns around and sees a reflection, and Steven's just like, maybe if you stop listening to this stupid pigeon.
That was good. I like that.
Oh, that was
so
good.
Our friend Khonshu does this weird little disappearing act, which I thought was very cartoonish. It felt weird to see him disappear in thin air. Didn't it feel like a Looney Tunes cartoon? Like he just turns into a tiny little guy and disappears right into the air. But then he goes
it's all in his imagination. He's not actually. So it's.
And then he goes to the moon he makes the moon crescent into an eclipse, which obviously pisses off the rest of the gods because he's meddling in this dimension. He should not.
Before they do that, though, they have the discussion over getting the attention of the other gods, getting them to intervene,
which is foreshadowing of what's going to happen.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did he say exactly? He's like, the gods they already hate my guts.
Yeah,
this is going to piss it off. Right?
They will put me in stone if I do this.
Yes.
Yeah, if I fuck up again, they'll turn me into stone. They'll Sodom and Gomorrah me.
So he does the eclipse, and sure enough, all the gods are bringing in their avatars. They have portals all over the world, and they make Khonshu gets a portal for Mark. Mark enters. Where does Mark enter, Nathan?
So, as soon as I saw the shape of he enters the Pyramid of Giza, one of them there.
Reigning power of Giza.
The doorway, though, that he walks through does look quite similar to one of the doors that the Egyptians designed in tombs for kind of your spirit to walk through into the land of the dead. It's not a perfect replica, but I thought, maybe there's some inspiration there. But once they walk into the Pyramid of Giza, I hate to break it to you guys, this is not what it looks like on the inside.
Oh damn! Is this just the gift shop on the outside of the actual Pyramid of Giza?
This would look closer to that.
The gift shop. Thanks for visiting Giza. Here's a 6x10 photo.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a postcard.
But on the bright side, a lot of the imagery inside, a lot of the statues are very accurate. There's a couple of differences, but they're.
See, I told you, accurate. Justin, he's useful. Thank God, right? We're all drooling. Oh my God, this is what a Giza pyramid looks like.
Totally, we talked about that at all.
The Giza pyramid, there's. Unfortunately, if you go in there, it's quite empty. Either because it's been eluded, because it's an obvious,
But
monument.
In its heyday, would it look like this though?
On the inside, no.
No.
On the outside, it even looked different though. The outside, it used to be covered in, I think it was like a white stone, and so it wasn't a block. It was just a straight line down. It was quite beautiful, and it was topped with gold.
Yeah, that was stolen, right?
Yep, and the marble was also stolen over the years for building projects. But the inside here, the closest room I can think of is like a sixth the size of this. And you do see, though, in the pyramid, they do have that kind of structure that goes up. But it is done so that all the heavy weight of all the rock doesn't collapse in. That's why they have that kind of triangular shape. shape. But unfortunately, there's no room exactly like this. This is kind of
A very Hollywood and elaborate.
yes, a fun interpretation.
Because in the pyramids, you have more like tunnels, right? You have a little,
Yes,
very, very small, narrow shafts that go all the way down or in an angle.
Good shaft.
yep.
Yeah, I know. When I said that, I knew right away Justin's going to react to it because Justin's a five-year-old child.
You have to just imagine how much weight is right above your head at all times. And so
Yeah.
you can't have massive open rooms. You need to have rooms that are small and that go up so that way the support can be distributed evenly.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at the statues in here, do any of these ring a bell to you, or are they all Hollywood fake statues?
They ring a bell. I see Horus, the Falcon.
A horse? There's no horse in here.
Horus.
I'm just kidding.
And he's wearing the crowns of Egypt on the
Falcons there? What about Winter Soldier?
Yeah. I see Panther.
I assume the one in the middle must be Ra.
Osiris?
Or
Ra?
Well, it could be Osiris. Osiris is the... he's kind of the god presiding over the underworld. He's usually depicted in kind of like this greeny flesh. Because
Is he more of a douchebag?
Osiris? No, he's the one we discussed previously where his body was all cut up, tossed in the river, and then Isis, who they call in this show, they call her Isis or something like that.
No, they call her Isis, right?
Well, they call her like a weird pronunciation of it that I've never heard. But
so do we have another problem here now? Another pronunciation?
Well, no one knows how they're actually pronounced,
okay.
Their interpretation could be more accurate.
Okay.
And also, there's like, can we just not say ISIS? You're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's not do that.
They may have wanted to avoid saying that.
Yeah.
There's also another goddess I see on the right. It's the lion head. I think her name's Bastet.
Yeah, this is the one that everyone's talking about, the connection to Black Panther.
Let me quickly look it up. Yeah, it was. Is it Bastet? No.
Yeah, that's somewhat familiar.
I may be mixing her up with another goddess who's got like cats, but she's a lion. She's very ferocious and angry and killed.
Oh no, this is the Black Panther. It looks like a Black Panther.
I don't know. How many Black Panthers do you know of in Egypt?
No, I'm just saying that I've seen a picture of it and it shows a Black Panther.
Oh, I know.
This is Marvel's versions, right?
True, but I think in this room, this would be more of. Let me look up. One moment.
So while you looking this up, look at this. The gods that show up are Hathor, which is Khonshu's sort of friend. Or Justin would like to say side piece. Justin would like
she's
to say.
what? Well, the god of music and love or whatever.
Yeah.
And she comes up and she's like, "Hey, I'm the avatar of Hathor. Has Khonshu mentioned me?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "We used to be friends." He was like, "They fucked." Yeah. So
yeah. So that's one god, and then the other ones are Horus, Isis, Osiris, and Toughnut. No, Toughnut. So those are the gods that show up in this room. We have 5 gods plus Khonshu. We're still missing. How many gods are we missing? There's 9 of them, right? Is Khonshu considered one of the 9 or no?
I think for this they are, and because they said that there's only 7 gods on the poster when there's 9, and I think the 2 gods that they're missing are Khonshu and Amet or Amnet. Amnet. Yeah. By the way,
that's interesting.
I quickly looked up. So her name is Sekhmet, with the lioness head on the far right. I know some people may be looking at that as Black Panther reference. That could be the intention because of the color, but that's actually also the image of a goddess in Egypt. Sekhmet was known to be the goddess of revenge and protector of pharaohs and warfare.
But you're looking at it in actual archaeology.
Yeah, but history. I think that may have a double meaning there. But it is
fair enough.
If you look at the imagery between the two, it's nearly identical. The shape. of the head there compared to what they used for Sekhmet.
Okay, so one of the gods that is the sort of the big daddy of them all, and Khonshu's dad is Atum, right?
Yep.
And he's not here. So is there a reason why he's not here? Maybe he doesn't give a damn. He's like, I don't care about you kids.
More important things to do.
Yeah, exactly. And
We got a universe to rule. I don't give a shit about Earth.
the plane that they're in, the MCU calls it the Overvoid, which doesn't exist in the main MCU universe. So even with the multiverse and all that stuff,
Really?
it does not exist. So that's why the scene where they said, "Oh, we don't care, we don't interfere with humanity," they don't care. So when Thanos did the snap, it's irrelevant to these guys because it's a different void altogether, right? And therefore, the reason why they're not as strong is because when they come to this universe, they don't have their full potential unless they have full access to come through here through a portal, which our friend Arthur is trying to get Amit in here because without that, Amit doesn't have the full power and capacity of what her abilities.
The avatars, which is just
hence the avatar, exactly. Yeah. So I also got to thinking, the next scene obviously is when they actually Khonshu is talking through Mark Spector here, which is funny how he talks to and everyone's eyes glow white, and they're all in the room there, and Khonshu's just pissed, right? He's just like, we got to deal with this Arthur guy. He's going to bring in Amit, and they're not buying any of this because one, they hate his guts, and two, they're like, you have no evidence, and so he's like, well, bring the motherfucker over here. Bring him here. We got portals. Beam me up, Scotty. So they bring him in here, and man, Justin, we were talking about this. How cool and collective this guy is.
Yeah, Arthur. It was. This scene was really cool because, again, with seeing a lot of things from Mark's perspective in this episode, you do kind of the character development. You do feel for Mark a lot more, and even with Ethan Hawke talking, just walking up and being like, "Yeah, I remember getting abused by Khonshu and dealing with that and hearing." Him yelling in my head and whatever, and it's tough, and this is a broken man, and he's not well, and you shouldn't listen to him, and poor guy or whatever, and then
he lays it on thick,
and then Khonshu's side hoe is just like, "Yo, this is a safe space. You can tell us if are you okay, bud?" And he's like, "I'm not okay." So it again, I'm really impressed with even the bad guy. You're just like I was saying kind of in the last episode, I was like, I kind of understand, I get what he's talking about. You
feel for him.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job of Ethan Hawke's character. You're like, yeah, okay, the guy who's against him is a melodramatic 5-year-old who just wants to kill bad guys, and Amit's much more self-righteous and feels more just in their cause, and is less, I guess, ferocious in their actions. So they don't deem themselves as just like a violent killer. They are cleansing. So you can see kind of the two different pathways. I mean, they're arguably doing the same thing, just being judge, jury, and executioner. It's just different methods of going about the same thing.
Nathan, are you buying any of Arthur Harrow's story here? That he was abused, traumatized?
So, I think so. We've seen Mark get threatened by Khonshu that if he doesn't perform well, Layla, his wife, is going to be subjected to what he's been subjected to and forced to, kill people and don the cape, and he doesn't want that for her. So I think certainly there's an aspect of what's being said about Khonshu is true, but I think he's certainly manipulating the court here. He's avoiding saying what he's actually doing.
He's playing puppeteers with the gods.
Yeah. He's doing a very good job of it too. He's very convincing.
Job. Oh yeah.
If you didn't see any of the other episodes and this is all you saw, you would side with him.
You'd be like, Ethan Hawke's the good guy.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see, but if you look in the back where the stairs are, not on the back stairs, but the side stairs here where he enters from. Do you see a whole bunch of
Little
statues? Yeah, statues of characters. So it makes me believe that these are
Ant-Man's
actual.
in there.
Yeah, Ant-Man's in there. No, those are action figures.
Subscribe to NR where we look at action figures.
Yeah, exactly. Astonishing NR, where we're doing all kinds of action figure reviews. Join us. Subscribe to our channel. Go ahead. You're going to win cool prizes. And that's not even a joke. So, yeah, and he does a great job of convincing and then letting everybody know in the group there that Mark is a victim here and he's been treated like crap. And Khonshu's like, you know what? And the gods eat it all up. And they ask Mark, and Mark, yes, he says, this is the part where Khonshu's probably like, you sold me out, bitch. Like, when they asked you a question, are you suffering? You're like, yeah.
Well, he goes to punch him. And then,
and then the
Sooty McDouche face is just like, we do not tolerate violence in this.
Osiris basically blocks or stops him with his white string theory magic.
Yeah,
stops him from that. It's interesting how all their power, their eyes and everything is like a white color. MCU does a good job of color coordinating all the powers. Yeah. Scarlet Witch has got red, Black Panther has purple. These guys have white. It's a lot of different colors. Thor has blue, obviously.
So in the next MCU big showdown movie, when they all fight, you can tell who's shooting who.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is
white
red.
Guys, that's the red guys. That's the purple guys.
Well, that's what they do with Star Wars with the lasers.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, green and red. Yeah.
So what happened to Mace then? Nobody wanted to bring up the purple, right?
Because no one wants to challenge him when he says he wants a purple lightsaber.
Yeah, I still love the fact that he has "bad motherfucker" etched on his lightsaber that he used.
That's canon.
Y'all, you're all not going to talk about me. This is going totally off topic, which we do here. How about Samuel Jackson showing off his lightsaber recently?
He does that all the time.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
he goes on like the Graham Norton show like 15 years after the fucking movies came out to talk about his lightsaber and Star Wars. Like he does this every couple of years where he's just like, "Whoa, look, I've got a Star Wars thing," and everyone's like, and you're like, "Dude, the guy's like 60.
Nathan was freaking out. Nathan was freaking out a couple of days ago.
Space wizard.
I thought it was very cool, and I think there's definitely a chance they might bring him back.
Oh, see, this is what he wants. So that's what he wants.
No, I want him to.
I think when he showed him. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is probably the biggest possibility.
It's the only chance because what is he? 80 years old now.
He's
I don't know when he would.
Samuel Jackson's up there in age. He's got to be at least 70 plus.
Him pulling out that lightsaber to get fans excited. He's just doing that to try and get fans to pressure Disney into hiring him.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He just puts up that tweet and then fucking a million
his own Disney Plus show, right?
Petitions go up and
his own Disney Plus show.
As an actor, I love him, but as a character, Mace Windu, I think he's one of the reasons why the Republic fell. So I actually don't like him as a character, but as like part of the story and as an actor, I think they're great. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with him if they do bring him back.
Well, actually,
he's 73 years old.
We'll be like Yoda walking around on a cane.
Yeah, in like semi-canon stuff, character-wise, I mean, he was like the grayest of Jedis that were in the Order, and like even the fighting style that he uses is essentially banned in the Jedi Order because it is literally harnessing your anger, but then turning that into good. And if you're not in the right mindset, you'll be a bad guy or whatever. So like they don't teach. I can't remember what the form is called, but it's one of the saber forms that like is pretty much banned.
Okay, that's cool. Right, let's get back on the track here.
Another popcorn.
I apologize for starting this. I really do.
No, this is your fault.
So they, basically they leave the tomb, and before he leaves, the side piece, but not the side piece, the actual side piece is Avatar says to Mark, "There's another way." And to Mark's delight, he's like, "What do you mean?" Well, there is a black market owner that has a sarcophagus that has clues to where the burial site of Amit embedded in there. So if you find this, is Sefu? Is it Sefu? Nathan, yeah, you tell us.
Sifu.
There you go, Sifu, and eat it.
Oh no, imaginary named Senfu. As I made this
Senfu?
joke, yeah, it's Senfu because it's not Sifu because that would mean that they know how to pronounce fucking Chinese words correctly. Even though Sifu is Cantonese for like teacher or whatever, but still.
I wonder if that name derived from Egypt.
Probably not China and Egypt. But
They don't have a lot of crossover.
did they mention was it him that they said was the Medjai?
Yeah, they said it's Senfu's sarcophagus.
Yeah.
So they might be sarcophagus.
Medjai.
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 There might be a
weird spelled word.
sarcophagus for a Medjai, but there may be, but I've never heard of one.
Well,
for
we
them.
were hoping that you would tell us.
Medjai are. Do you know what they are? Did you discuss this previously?
No.
No.
Okay, so they originally were a group from Nubia that were known to have great warriors and really
Nubia.
so they're Nubian warriors, and they're exceptionally good at what they did. Eventually, the Egyptians started using them as soldiers in their army, and they kind of progressed over time from being the word Medjai to describe the tribe to starting to describe the bodyguards of the pharaohs. Because
Oh, wow.
the Medjai over time, as they progressed in Egyptian society, their skill earned them a place as the bodyguards of the pharaohs.
So they were the knights at that time then.
Yeah, they're like the knights of the
They're the special forces that comes in.
Yeah.
the big guys. Yeah. Exceptionally skilled warriors, and so they're given that position. So if there's a Medjai and there's a sarcophagus, that means two things. One, they were extremely they're very good at their job, and they were very good friends with the pharaoh at the time. Or two, they came from a very wealthy family beforehand. Because warriors, they'll make money, but enough money that they're going to have that type of sarcophagus that's so richly decorated. They must be in the good books with the pharaoh.
So the story, Mark now is looking in the market and he finds this dude. I guess Mark knew this guy previously because Mark has been in Egypt before. So I guess he bumps into one of these contacts that he recognizes and starts asking some questions. And along comes Layla. And Mark turns around and goes, ah, crap. Like, what are you doing here? And she's like, hey, you're going to need me because my father and I are well aware of this area and we have connections here. And she offers that first of all, how does she even know? Like right off
Cell
the bat,
phone tracker again.
Yeah. Like she just finds them. Like Egypt's Cairo's a big place.
Well,
right?
I'm going to guess that she knew his old contacts.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
kind of his old
that's a good
hangouts.
point.
And so she was just going around them to try and find where he was.
Yeah.
Good point. You see, that makes more sense, right? Than like maybe, but still, it's just really weird. Like she finds them everywhere, right?
Yeah, she pops up randomly.
So she, says to him like they have communication about what's going, what he's looking for, and she's like, well, hey, I know somebody. My father,
I got a guy.
Somebody. Hey, I got a guy, that I know from my father. So, but we're gonna have to play a little, happy couple kind of storyline here too.
We have to pretend to be married.
Yeah, which is funny because they are.
They are married.
And the other thing, I remember asking Justin this. I'll ask you, Nathan, is why do you think she came back to Egypt? Because first of all, I didn't even say this in the passport. It says archaeologist.
Or no,
it
says not archaeologist.
Sorry, antiquities dealer, which is one of the worst things you could put in your passport going to Egypt, because you would then be verified, right? There would be multiple times they would ask you to verify your occupation. Of all the things, like, is this a fake passport? Of all the things you would put as occupation, why would you put that?
Yeah,
it's like going into the States and saying occupation bomb maker. Like, all right, we're gonna keep a close eye on you.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought that you actually had to put your occupation in a passport. So that
you don't.
Yeah,
but I mean, it could be Egyptians' policy.
an
right?
Egyptian policy. So that way, if you work at, I don't know, like 7-Eleven in Egypt, and then a couple of weeks later you change your job, do you have to get a new passport or something?
Yeah, right. It's it's just so bizarre, the whole thing,
I
But
never even thought of that. Like
yeah,
the
it's so
passport,
bizarre.
you don't put your occupation.
Yeah, I think
They
they just
ask
trying to
you,
show.
maybe.
Yeah, it's for the show, probably. Yeah,
But even then, antiquities dealer is something that is not looked
thing
upon too
you
well.
own.
yeah, exactly. This is what I was telling you. Like,
It's,
of all the things, if you want to go incognito and don't want anyone to know you're going, and you have a fake passport, that is the last occupation you should be putting going into Egypt.
yeah.
You could just say you're a donkey rider. It's even better. Or I like to build
We got him here.
sandcastles.
You're good.
I like to build sandcastles in the desert.
We got lots of sand. Come on.
Right?
Egypt is notorious for wanting to keep as many of its artifacts inside the country
Of course.
because
should.
over centuries,
Yeah.
people
Everyone's
have
fucking
taken
ripped him off.
Yeah.
So
Go ask
they're trying to keep
the
it-
museums in Paris, New York,
Yeah.
and London.
Yeah,
Right?
and so they want to keep as many artifacts as they can. And so when you have someone whose sole profession is to sell artifacts come into your country, I certainly would immediately put a halt on their entry. And,
She's going into that room and she's not coming back out.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So they basically formulate this idea they're going to be a happy couple because they're going to go meet somebody that has this sarcophagus. I still said it wrong.
sarcophagi
There
or
it
sarcophagi plural, sarcophagus singular.
Yes.
Yes. So, and then we meet the gentleman. Somebody want to help me with this? Gaspar
Frenchieman.
Gaston. He was in A Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
No, it's Gaston.
Okay, Gaspar Ulal, I believe it is. I apologize to his family for butchering this name. Rest in peace to him.
Rip in peace, because
He passed away, but he is Midnight Man in the show, and right after. Sorry,
or is he?
Well, it was confirmed he was.
Yeah.
But he, after the show ended, he passed away. Unfortunately.
So after the show ended, so it was after it finished filming.
But from what I heard, they took his scenes out. From what I heard, they removed it because the character Midnight Man is a very formidable foe of Moon Knight. It's like the Batman and Joker thing, right? It is one of his arch enemies. So I don't know what's going on here. This is just rumors and speculations that they took the character out. And so they go visit him, and he says, "Yes, I've got it here, But I want to know from you, Mark, what do you think, and why are you here? What are you looking for?"
Yeah, that scene was fucking dumb.
Yeah,
He was like, put the coals under him, and he's like, "All right, time to grill your husband." And he's like, "What do you want? Why do you want to see it?" And he's just like, "I just want to look at it." And he's like,
first
"Yeah,
of all,
checks out. Let's go."
Let's talk about that robe, though. That Hugh Hefner robe.
Oh yeah, it's a bitching robe.
There.
Yeah.
I just found it so weird, the whole thing. I'm gonna walk around in a robe.
Doing some like Egyptian jousting, and then he's just like, "Yes, thank you. Bring me my robe."
Nathan, are you familiar with that jousting?
I have never heard of that before. That was
Well,
really
apparently
weird.
it is a thing. It is real.
Is it modern? Like modern?
No, it's an
Egyptian, or is it
ancient
ancient?
Egyptian fighting that the director said is authentic to Egypt culture.
Just
I'll
like
have to look into
the
that, 'cause
Mandarin that they were speaking is authentic to Chinese culture.
Shika shika.
It's as authentic
Knee high.
Yeah, shika shika.
as Panda Express.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That is not MSG. So they're basically observing this thing, and he calls bluff on these guys. And Jason or Justin, do you want to take it away here?
Yeah, so they get into the thing and they start looking at it, and they're like, "Oh, it's hieroglyphs," and I don't know what the fuck any of them say. And then Mark looks up, and Steven's just like, I know what that means. I can help. And then he's just like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Can you leave, Layla? Can you distract him? I got to talk to Steven for a bit." So she goes out and she's like, "Hey boys," and then he's just like, "Whoa, lady," and then Mark's just like, "All right, Steven, do some nerd shit," and then Steven and he's like, "Oh, just put this part over here, and then take this one, flip it over, and fold it, and then great, yeah, grand." I almost went Irish there, but anyway, and then he turns around, and then there's a gun or something, and then and when they were coming on the boat, they had like some SEAL Team 6 dudes following them, and they're like, "Oh, those are some friends, right?" And then turns out, obviously, to be, Ethan Hawke. Well, okay, anyway. So then he turns around, there's a gun, and then did she actually do a fucking crane kick?
Yeah.
Oh no, right. She did a flying knee. She did
was
some like Ong back.
Yeah, it was some weird
Muay Thai shit. No. That part was badass.
Nathan,
that was cool.
Nathan, do you recognize that necklace she's wearing?
I think it's just based off of based off of Egyptian jewelry, but I don't think it's authentic. But it's okay. It's like a modern interpretation of.
Did you find jewelry. It really hideous and really like? Can you try not to show everybody you have gold all around your neck?
I'm gonna be honest. I thought she was gonna like pull it off, and it was gonna turn into a weapon or something like that.
See, I thought the same thing. Well, when she took it off, like it was like very.
Oh, you thought it was like actually gonna more like transform it to something else.
Yeah,
something cooler than just a necklace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
When she like ripped it off, it seemed very on purpose, and I was like, "Oh shit, does she get a suit? Is this going to turn into some magic thing?"
Oh, you guys are thinking
fuck,
that. No.
And just stabs him with it.
If she got a suit, I would have just turned it off right there. But like, nope, I'm not doing this.
Not necessarily a suit. I thought it was going to be something because we know they're magical Egyptian artifacts. I thought it might have been like some sort of, it would have like, I don't know, grown like little horns or something, become a bit more of a weapon.
Yeah, horns. No, she's just like, I got pointy things.
I thought it was going to be like Xena the Warrior Princess, you know?
Yeah,
she would throw like a boomerang at them and chop their heads off.
But then then Ethan Hawke shows up because he's apparently better at tracking than even Layla is.
He stopped digging and he showed up here, which is so weird. He's telling all his goons, "Don't stop digging, no matter what. I am gonna be one with Amit," and then he just showed up here.
Well, I can support that for this because earlier we saw that he sent his goons after to kill someone who can actually help Mark find the site. I think he's going after every possible place that can help Mark lead him to the site. So I think this is just his next step.
But
it's
shouldn't
just,
he be
convenient that he's there at the same time.
But shouldn't he be worried about getting the site dug up? Because what does it matter if he's got the site dug up? He already has everything he needs. He doesn't need Mark.
He's the guy with the cane. Motherfucker can barely walk. He's not digging for shit. That's why he's got all
not
his
him,
cronies
but
and his followings.
I think he's worried if Mark gets to him though, because Khonshu's still, he's still a god. He's still powerful. He can do something, and he doesn't want that to inconvenience him.
Arthur. Focus on the task at hand. So Arthur comes there and does his little talk. Nathan, do you want to walk us through this process?
I remember the very first thing he says, wasn't it like whatever they're offering you, I could offer you more or something like that. He's trying he's as if they had the money to pay for the mummy. But he goes up acting, as if, I'm the.
What do you think it's worth on the black market, Nathan?
A mummy?
Yeah,
a lot of money.
Give me a number. What do you think black market people are paying for this?
It depends on the mummy. But as a Medjai,
like seafood.
As a Medjai, maybe. I don't know. This is I've never actually looked at prices for a lot of the artifacts.
Like 500,000?
No, I'd say less than that, but it's still a lot of money. I'd say
100 grand.
Maybe 100 grand for the wrappings and the sarcophagus, just because the sarcophagus is decorated. But as an individual,
I thought it was going to be more than that.
Yeah, but Medjais are just warriors. They're nobodies. If it was a pharaoh,
the big money's what the pharaohs are.
Yeah, if you found a pharaoh. Holy crap. Although the Victorians kind of wrecked it because the Victorians started eating like bits of mummy wrappings back in like the 1800s.
Whoa. Hold on. Sure. Time out. Let's talk about this here. This is more interesting. They're wrappings. They're like cloth, aren't they?
Yep. So
they're coated
in the Victorian era.
They're the wrappings are coated in, what are they?
egg.
Salt
No. Oh yeah, so it'd just be like,
or like other things to help dry.
yeah,
Why would
so
they
the
eat it?
wrap,
Yeah, but
because it'd be like seasoning that's been aged. It's like fucking. It's just
they ate it-
aged.
I can't remember the exact reason why they had it. But it was they believed that the properties of the bandages would like be good for their health.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what aspect of health it was good for. I don't imagine that it was effective.
That is so weird.
Yeah,
So weird.
but as a Medjai, for his body, wouldn't be worth too much. The sarcophagus with all the decorations would be worth a lot. But if he was a pharaoh, he'd be worth a lot more. But that's still having a mummy like that in your own private collection.
Yeah.
That's significant.
That's
Most
baller.
people-
That's a baller
yeah.
move right there, right?
Most people, if
That's a baller
they've
move,
got
like,
let's see, for human remains in a private collection, the most I've ever seen was teeth for human remains.
When you
Beyond
start
that, I haven't
collecting
seen a full mummy.
Egyptian artifacts, you're a baller.
Yeah,
100%. You're a baller. Like I
Or-
collect action figures. I'm nothing. I'm a low level collector. But when you start getting to like real action figures in life,
Yeah. No,
you're
I
a
need,
baller.
yo,
Roman-
and the
Roman
articulation
body.
points are
Yeah.
great.
It can go like this.
Oh
Hands up and
you go
down.
around trying to move the mummy, break off an arm.
fuck! These don't have butterfly joints.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a baller move. All right. So, anyways,
Oh,
Arthur,
before we continue though,
yes.
I don't understand. They were outside. The mummies were
Mhm.
outside in the open in little glass pyramids,
Yeah,
open to the
they
air.
didn't have
that whole
any sealed
place that
areas.
this guy was living in was so weird.
It looked like a fucking singles resort in like Florida. Like they show up on a shitty like boat,
Sunwing
with, like,
Vacations.
some LED lights, fucking blaring radio music, and then they
It-
just
it's
like
just-
get
it
on
didn't
this
look like a
rickety
house.
ass-
It didn't look like
Yeah.
anything. It's just weird.
No, it's just like
I thought it was a circus, like with all the sand.
Cirque du
Little
Soleil?
circus
Yeah.
area.
The guys on the horse.
yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird and odd, this whole setting. I don't know why they decided to do it like that. Maybe they had issues in trying to get permits to get into buildings or something. But yeah, that whole outdoor thing threw me off. Who keeps mummies outdoor?
Well,
Yeah.
you can't because the air destroys
Yeah,
them very
that's what I'm
quickly. It's
saying.
organic material, yeah.
It's going to go into like sand and disintegrate, right? So, and that's what happens apparently, right? So,
Yeah, Ethan Hawke didn't even do anything with his cane. He just like turned on the LEDs in it and then it just disintegrated. And he's like, that's what you get, asshole. That's why I don't put that shit outside.
the purple LED lights.
Yeah.
Oh man, Asper should make a cane, right?
Oh,
Arthur
they're-
cane, replica cane that you can walk
That'd be
around
pretty
in.
cool. And that turns purple when you like stomp it on the ground or you hold it like this.
Oh, Justin's webcam
gone.
battery died.
I'm back.
There. Oh
no,
you're-
I kicked the
you're in.
cable.
Oh, okay. All right, so they get the map. Well, what happens? There's a huge scene here. This is a cool scene, an insane scene, by the way, where Mark has to transform into MoonKnight because they're onto him and their guns are blazing, and he spreads his MoonKnight crescent cape, flies,
Yeah,
which I thought was
That
a
was
cool
the thing
scene.
from the trailer. Yeah.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool scene, and then he enwraps, covers up Layla, and bullets shooting at the cape. So one of the things about his
Well,
healing,
also before that, she picks up a gun and just like fucking zero shot snipes like 5 dudes, and
Which
it's not
is
just
very
like,
hard to do
"Oh,
in real
no,
life."
yeah." Oh,
To pick-
absolutely.
to pick people off with the gun that from that distance is not easy
Yeah,
at all.
she nails it.
Yeah. So one of the things about his healing factor is like Wolverine,
Mhm.
right? He has a healing factor Wolverine, which I gathered on the internet, and he feels the pain, but then he eventually heals from it. So he does feel the pain, which takes us to the next, scene after the bullets are shot. Mark's battling with Steven because Steven's like, stop it. We should all talk about this, right? Like, it's like, shut up, Steven, right? Like, Mark's like, I've got to kick their ass. No. Let me in, right? And then all of a sudden he does the shakes, and, we have Mr. Knight show up out of nowhere, which is hilarious because it reminds me of Deadpool, and so does for you, Justin, right? It's like total Deadpool. And he gets one of these poles. We have a picture that I've got up here shoved in his back, and he's like, "No, you can have him back. You can have the body back.
Take it back.
You can have the body back. Mark, where are you?" And then Mark shows up, and he's got multiple poles in him, and he just loses his shit and just starts killing people, throwing his what do we want to call this? Not a batarang, but
Moonerangs.
Moonerangs?
I don't know.
Moonerangs.
Look it up, actually. They probably have a name for it.
It's a moonerang. Come on now.
Crescent darts.
Crescent darts? What?
Crescent darts.
Crescent
They're the
darts.
primary weapon of MoonKnight.
I like moonerang better.
Yeah, moonerang. I agree.
Who wants to take it over from here? Big fight scene. They get away. What do we have?
Some slow-mo shots that were okay. They do some fighting.
Yeah, what do you think of the fight scene overall?
It's fine.
It wasn't anything extraordinary, but it was good. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Although I want to point out in this picture, it looks like the person to the far back isn't actually stabbing him anywhere. If you look at
he's just like.
It's well, right it depends on the angle, right?
Well, I guess his leg. Because he did put one through his
maybe he's holding his leg so he doesn't like they're trying to hold him down.
Might be.
Yeah.
One guy's at the leg.
They had this talk where Ethan Hawke says some shit about like, oh, Layla, he's lying to you, blah blah blah, about a bunch of things, and then they get away. He goes Super Saiyan, punches a bunch of dudes, throws a bunch of moonerangs, and then Layla grabs the sheets of paper, and they fuck off. They get into a van, start driving around, and then
this dude Arthur, he likes to drop seeds everywhere, huh?
Yeah, he's a shit disturber for sure.
Oh man, like he went, like he's like, oh, not only am I gonna fuck Conchu up, I'm gonna fuck Mark up too right now, right? Hey, by the way, Layla, did you know he's cheating on you? No, just kidding.
Well, hold on there. Didn't he ask out that girl at the British Museum?
That was for Steven.
Yeah,
sure,
but
right. Okay.
If it was for Steven, why did he make Steven miss that date though? So if it was for Steven. And why did he make her go? It wasn't
Mark, it was Steven, okay?
Right, yeah.
Steven asked her, okay.
Oh.
But I'm sure Steven would have invited her somewhere that's more vegan friendly.
Or vegan friendly at all.
That was Mark playing a joke on him, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we had this discussion about who we liked, and both of you guys picked Steven and I picked Mark. You guys have to admit, though, Mark's character development in episode 3 has been, there's been interesting developments because he's not just a crazy lunatic that wants to kill. He's got emotions, and you saw him try to, pull back when he saw the kid. He's like, he's just a kid. I don't want to kill that kid.
Yeah.
Like, he has understanding of to be a proper human. He's not some psychopath that's supposed to go killing, right? That's Jake.
Yeah. So the thing that is being held from Layla is the whole Conchu thing, right? Like that's what.
Yeah.
She doesn't. So she just thinks he has some.
Well, she thinks he's just off his rockers, right?
Well, you put the suit thing. She keeps asking him for that. Like, how is like? Oh, by the way, I'm a conduit for a god, and that's why I'm doing all this stuff, and that's why I have a suit. Like, why would that fucking ruin her outlook on him? I think he already has.
Here's my theory:
and murders people all the time and does a bunch of stuff.
Here's my theory: the less he tells her, the more distance he keeps Conchu from her.
Yes,
because Conchu did threaten him, right? Said, "Hey, you don't do it, she will." So I think he's trying to like the less he tells her, the better he's going to feel that there's a separation between the two.
Yeah,
right. I mean, that's just my theory on that. Nathan, what do you think?
Do you know what? I think she's an archaeologist. She's been doing this for a while. She's good with a gun. She's almost a parallel of Mark, not quite, but almost. And I think she's intelligent enough that she knows about Conchu, and she could recognize maybe some of the symbolism on his suit. I just don't think she knows that Conchu is threatened to use her next. I think that's a big red flag that he's scared of sharing with her.
Of course,
for a variety of reasons. But I think she probably knows that Conchu's there.
Mm-hmm. I think you're definitely right. I think if he tells her, then he's also afraid that she's going to not even be around.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, why would you want to be around a crazy person like Mark and then have a crazy god as well? Like she's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Check, please.
Too much.
I'm out, right? So they get into the Jeep. Steven gets in the Jeep, I believe. Or no, it's Mark. It's still Mark. They get in the Jeep and they drive off into the desert. They're followed by Arthur's goons, which is so weird because in the middle of a clear road, they're just sitting there on the side. And they drive by. They're like, yeah, I'm just going to turn my lights on and follow these guys, right? They won't know we're coming. There's nobody around, by the way. It's just one car in this desert, right? It's just weird how people follow others in the movies. So they get to a location. By the way, can somebody tell me how they ended up in that location?
They drove up to it.
They just seem to find a location.
That's their spot. It's where they used to go.
Because if you don't know where you're going, would you not want to find out before driving aimlessly into the desert?
I think they were probably just getting away.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Just go somewhere dark and quiet, right?
Yeah. Somewhere we can see the stars away from the city.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Get away from light
that's actually a great theory there. So they get to this area, and of course, Mark doesn't know anything. And this was something that I talked about in episode 1. Was like, there's a reason why Steven is working at an Egyptian museum, because he needs to retain some of that memory of Egypt, because Mark doesn't know anything, right? And so Steven is the one that kind of remembers all this or has learned all this working in the museum. And sure enough, his skill sets come in handy because they're trying to make sense of all these pieces. And Nathan, do you recognize what he's done? Is that just a Hollywood thing where he makes a stupid star?
Unfortunately, that is like every archaeologist would love to have like a puzzle like that you could solve, but unfortunately, that's just not true. But it is true though that the Egyptians did use the stars to navigate the desert.
Okay, yeah,
they were early navigators. Can't say that they were the first because there's other cultures across the world that have independently come to the same conclusions about the stars. But
they also had the technology to look up.
Yeah, they know how to look up, and they can recognize that some stars are the same every night.
So, I mean, right away when they were looking up and looking at the stars, I knew, because I'm into astronomy a lot. I'm like, that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. The stars are not the same.
Thousands.
Yeah, okay. Thousands, okay. I knew right away. And if they did not hit on that, I would have been like, come on, guys. So I'm glad that they hit on that. They're like, no, the stars were not the same at this, at that time. And so Khonshu basically, this is Steven now in the body, and Khonshu basically is playing nice with Steven, because I guess Khonshu realizes, hey, if I'm going to get shit done here, we need Steven's intelligence to get it done, not Mark's, strength. So Steven is asked by Khonshu, and it's funny how Steven is trying to trust Khonshu as well, because he wanted nothing to do with them. He's a pigeon, remember? Right? So tells him to, raise his hand and do what I do, and, we'll be on our way. So what do you guys think about this whole scene of where they are, I guess, playing with the stars? And by the way, Khonshu has admitted right now that if he does this, he's screwed. He is genuinely screwed.
Well, yeah, earlier in the episode, they were literally like, if you fuck up with anything else on Earth or like mess with time or whatever, we're putting you into stone. And he's just like, all right, here we go, boys.
And this only affects people in Egypt, not all around the world. So you don't see like the Avengers looking up at the sky and it's all getting changed. So it's only here. That kind of explains why nobody else comes here to the aid of Egypt, right? All the superheroes in the world. So they manipulate the sky to go back in time to see where the alignments of stars are. Did you guys recognize the tablet when she was holding what this constellation was? I did.
No.
So the first constellation, the most obvious was Orion. Orion, if you guys do not know, you can actually go outside and look out your window and you'll see Orion. I've got a Yeah, I've got a park across the street from me, so it's pretty dark there. So when I look up, I see a lot of stars, and one of the most prominent stars is the 3 stars lined up, which is Orion's belt, very famous as the Big Dipper in North American skies. So she basically mapped out Orion, and it was pointing at a location. And then from there, they just did a whole bunch of Hollywood stuff, which didn't make any sense.
They did some math.
Yeah, and then they located the coordinates of where the burial site is.
They did some hacking, put on some green tinted sunglasses, did some sky hacks.
I wonder if she was using iOS or Google to get that software.
She would have been using Android because actually no, she could use either. There's actually this is a
Sky Search or something, Sky Maps.
No. Apple will allow you to use a iPhone. This is actually, and once you know this, you'll never fucking be able to unsee it. Apple will allow you to use an Apple product in your TV, movie, whatever, or in your TV show or movie, but they can't be a bad guy. So if you ever, and it's actually ruined a couple shows for me. Because everyone will be using Apple and there's one motherfucker with an Android. I'm like, oh, that's the villain. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, I've been evil the whole time. It's like, yeah, I fucking knew it because you didn't have an iPhone. And
That's crazy.
It's a clause that Apple has. Yeah.
Moral of the story: get an iPhone. You're going to be a good person.
Yeah. Well,
I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone in my hand
fantasy
right now, and I want to throw this against the wall because it doesn't work in my basement where my old Android worked just perfectly fine. So it's terrible. This is the brand new iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's complete garbage. The only thing good about Apple is the watch, which I have to admit is fantastic, and I love it. I'm hoping that Google makes their watch because they did buy out Fitbit. So hopefully Google makes a watch. And then I have no reason to be
$50 and it's awesome. I said, I got this watch. It's $50 and it's awesome.
Good for you. Congratulations.
And it's not Apple and it does all the same things.
Awesome. So great animation here. This is, I guess, where the CGI.
This did look pretty good.
Yeah, right?
This is where all of the effects went. Yeah.
Yeah. It looked really cool.
Went for this one.
So they locate the place, and what happens after this?
Khonshu turns to stone.
Oh man,
it's locked away.
So sad. Turns into a stone. Very small statue, and you think they'd make it a little bit larger.
It's supposed to be.
What if it falls over and breaks? I guess they don't give a shit.
It's supposed to be an Ubshat.
There you go. See, look at that.
It's like a
Ubshept?
Ushabti or Ushabtius. It's a burial good, right?
Okay.
So when someone important dies and you go to the afterlife, you still need people to like tend your fields and do all your agricultural work for you, and so you have little workers made into these little statues. And
interesting.
They're buried with you, so that way when you die and you move on, these statues kind of become your servants.
So they're slaves in a sense.
Yeah, basically. And they're restricted.
So if I put if I pass away and I put my action figures in there, they'll be my little servants in heaven, right?
You'll have MoonKnight and Superman serving you.
Sick. That's awesome. Get some turtles in there. Power Rangers. All right, so he turns it, and then they all get together and hold hands and sing Kumbaya while they're making him into a stone, which is so weird. Like, okay, sure. And then, they just like combine their powers and morph this guy into a stone. Did you feel bad for Khonshu? Did you guys feel bad?
Well, I felt bad because I knew he was trying to do the right thing, and he kind of sacrificed
himself. Do we see an evolution of
thing.
Khonshu here?
I mean, it's more development, yeah. They've been doing a good job at fleshing out everyone. I mean, except for what's Ethan Hawke's god's name? Amit.
Harrow, yeah.
Amit's still kind of has been on the sidelines, but
but
everyone's getting lots of.
We haven't really seen her do anything though. It's always been
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
So,
haven't had much development.
Arthur
for
is
our story
Amit's
told.
avatar, correct?
Yeah.
And the only powers that we see of Arthur is with his cane. That's
Mhm.
how he's getting. It's sort of like Thor with his hammer, right?
It's been a few things though. We've seen like the him killing that old lady with the scales,
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah,
and then he
opens up a
did
portal.
like a yeah.
Or the
he
floor
put in a portal.
gives away and the demon comes
He's-
out, right?
Yeah. He
Oh yeah,
summoned
that's
a
right. He
jackal.
summons, so he does like some necromancer shit. Then he does like some force push and fucks up the tomb of the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, disintegrates it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what else? Yeah, so it's kind of like
he's a pretty powerful avatar, if you think about it, right? But if you take the cane away from him, he doesn't have it. So I guess in a way, the cane is his power conduit, and where with Mark and Steven, the Moon Knight outfit is his powers.
Mhm.
But now that Khonshu's become a stone and been encapsulated in that, there's no more power anymore.
So now Layla's gonna get her comeuppance, or now she gets her time.
Well,
to shine
she better, because then I have no. If she doesn't have some importance in the next episode, then I'm writing her off as no reason to be in the show.
I thought
she
you said
better
Norwegian to be in the show, and I was like, what does
Norwegian.
Norway have to fucking do with this?
They filmed it there.
Yeah.
By the way, for anybody who's listening and watching us, we are going to be looking to nail down the body double of Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight.
Oh yeah.
He is going to appear on this this podcast, the Popcorn Chicken podcast, after the show is over, and talk about his experience when they filmed, because he was with Oscar Isaac during the filming of Moon Knight. So we're hoping to lock this gentleman down. He has agreed to come on the show. I'm just going to try to lock down the time. Hopefully it'll be a Wednesday or Thursday night with us three, and we can ask him some questions. And we're hoping to do that. So,
And you can ask him questions too. Leave it in the comments below.
We might do a live. Should we do a live that day?
Probably.
What do you guys think? I think we should do a live, right? Let people come in and talk. So we'll push it out on our platform. So go out and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Nathan will make sure on Instagram will announce when and what time. So at Astonishing NR, go check it out and stay tuned, because I think it'll be fun if we can get, his name is Mike, by the way, and it'll be fun to maybe get him to come on and talk about his experiences and what it was like to shoot all these, scenes. Because every time you see Oscar Isaac's character fight, Mark Spector or Steven fight, that's actually our guy Mike fighting.
Also, he's a collector too.
Yes, he is an avid toy collector, and he was able to announce the Moon Knight figures that came out from Hasbro. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, hopefully. And we might do a giveaway. Who knows? We'll figure it out. We'll have fun with it. But so, yeah, okay. So now the show's about to end, and we just, we come to the conclusion that the next episode, Mark and Steven don't got shit.
Yeah.
They got nothing.
Their fancy threads are gone. They do have each other. And maybe a third guy.
See.
I think we're going to see.
Interesting.
I think we're going to see more Steven in the next episode.
I think we're going to see the third guy, because now they're both just like, well, shit, I don't know. And then Ruthless McStab everyone is going to pop out and just be like, let's do this. And then, yeah. He's just going to headbutt everyone.
There's no reason for him to be, though, because Steven is the reason why they need to have Steven, because he knows how to go to that location.
Yeah, but neither of them give a shit. They're just like, all right, well, like, because Steven is just like, I want the fuck out of here. Mark is just like, I'm only doing this so that he doesn't take my wife. And now they're just like, oh, we don't have to deal with him. All right, fuck it. Let's go on a vacation. And then I think the third guy's going to take over and be like, let's. I don't know.
He was quite violent earlier. He just tore some people to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was supposed to be the relaxed information gatherer guy, but
this is Disney just trying to change the characters. Remember, there's 5 personalities inside Moon Knight. right? They changed it to
technically,
3.
each suit is its own.
Each suit had his own persona. They were not Mark Spector or Steven. They were all different characters, right? Mr. Knight has his own persona. So the fact that they changed it, and then also Steven was supposed to be a millionaire, a billionaire, and that's where Moon Knight got all this tech. So Steven now is just a museum. But we did have the theory, Justin, we were talking about that maybe he is still a millionaire, is not unaware.
Yeah, and Mark is like hiding it from him kind of thing.
Mark is hidden it from him to maybe protect him, or maybe to get more information on museum.
Also just kind of allow him to keep a low profile.
Yeah, maybe. So at the end, we might still see Steven as the millionaire, where he's got all this money, right? So that'll be interesting to see. Any predictions for the next, besides what we just talked about? Anything else you think? Are we going to see Amit for the first time?
I think it's too soon for that. I think we're gonna
That's a finale
later. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a finale.
Okay.
Or it'll be in episode 5 and she gets released, and episode 6 would be her being caught and gathered.
Yeah. They do a cliffhanger in episode 5 with her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here she is. Oh, by the way, it's ending. See you next week.
Yeah, I don't know. Because again, I think most of their motivations, as far as like all the Oscar Isaac characters, I don't know why they would, apart from just being like, oh, if a god gets released, it's probably bad for the world. So they'll probably be doing that. But I think that their motivation has completely changed again, or at least half of them anyway, like Mark. Because now he's just like, well, Layla's not in danger. The guy who's been torturing me and abusing me is gone. So
are you guys still on Team Steven? Or have you decided to move over to Mark? Or are you with Jake? Tell me. Not everybody all at once, please.
I'll let you go first, Justin, unless you need a second.
I think that they're now more the same person.
Oh.
I'm no longer
your team
either.
in the middle. Your team in the middle.
Team the entity of Oscar Isaac versus Ethan Hawke. Because now they are kind of like, now Nathan? No, now
is
Steven isn't as much of a Mr. Magoo.
Is Ethan Hawke outacting Oscar Isaac, or is Oscar Isaac still killing it?
Oh, they're both doing great, minus the Mandarin. But
is that the downfall of Ethan Hawke in this show?
I think so. Everything that I see him in now, I'm just gonna be like, motherfucker can't speak fucking shuka knee high.
That's so bad.
So bad.
We've forgotten about the terrible CGI
the terrible CGI.
Nobody cares about that anymore.
They put an effort into that.
I remember episode 1 when it ended.
They tried.
Everybody in the internet was talking about the terrible CGI, but when episode 2 dropped, nobody gave a shit about that anymore.
Because you were like, you know what? Maybe it was an intern. Maybe it was their first whatever. They put it. I could see the efforts. They cared, and this was just like, y'all didn't even use Google. Like Google Translate, the robot has better enunciation in any language compared to this. This was like they should have made up. Oh, we're speaking Aquilarian or whatever the fuck Aquaman is.
It was so bad that the actor who plays Shang-Chi came out and said, what?
And he was like, I'm here, homie. He's like, what the fuck?
You could have just asked me, I would have helped you. And this dude is Canadian, right? Yeah. He's Canadian. He's not actually born in China. Or maybe he is. But from what I know, he's very much Canadian. And he did a lot of stuff in Toronto where he resides. But it's just, it's so bad.
It was bad. They've come out and like tried to defend it. And they're like, oh, well, we were trying to like make it so like if it like an Egyptian person was speaking Chinese. Like, no, that's not how languages work, and especially not ones with tones.
But the thing is, they weren't even in Egypt.
They're in London.
Oh yeah, we're in London. So why would they need to speak
right. Yeah, I don't.
No, I'm not saying that you're gonna run. I'm just saying that
that's what they said. Their explanation makes
makes no sense.
They could have just looked at YouTube pronunciation for anything, and they would have gotten it right.
Totally. They could have just read it phonetically, and it would have been better.
pick one thing that you thought was bad in episode 3. One thing.
Choreography.
Okay.
It wasn't
Nathan?
bad. It just didn't.
Yeah, do you know what?
Well,
I'd say the same for the first fight scene for me, because I don't know, it wasn't very vicious or aggressive. It just felt like it felt like some sort of scripted fight rather than some sort of fight to the death. It kind
Okay,
of
then I'm gonna change my answer then. Because the choreography, now that I think about it, and actually just like kind of watching little clips here and there, none of it was bad. All of it looked well done. Camera work in this episode was fucking boring.
You took mine, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
yeah, camera work, the angles, and like it just what?
Yeah,
there's a reason why we don't see other shows with these angles, because they don't work. Right?
Yeah.
It's follow the script. You can't go wrong. Especially when you're in a budget with the TV shows, right? Like you can't afford to make mistakes because it's going to be looked and harped on right away. Movies, you can get away with it because you can cover it up with money, right? Throw some money at it and CGI will cover it up maybe. But TV show, they're working on a tight budget plus time constraint, right? So you got to just go with the scripted materials. Like why change it out and try to do new things all the time? What about the way it ended? You happy with the way it ended, episode 3, or you think that it should have gave us a little bit more?
I mean, it's a pretty big cliffhanger. They're just like, they literally changed space and now Khonshu's gone.
Are you excited? Are you excited for episode 4, or just like, yeah, whatever?
Yeah.
How is it doing so? This is the halfway mark. That's what I'm asking.
I think if you keep having major big cliffhangers at the end of every episode, it just feels cheesy. And this is still like a good enough cliffhanger that I am interested, and it leaves something to be pondered in the meantime, but it's not as big as some of the other ones, like the first episode where he just beats up the jackal, and that's the first time you see MoonKnight, and then he just turns towards the camera, walks at it, and then the episode's done.
Yeah,
by the way,
this one wasn't I think so much of a cliffhanger, and definitely more of a like, here's how the story's progressed, and this was it felt like the end of a chapter of like a book, kind of.
By the way, somebody asked me, like, hey, they're gods. How do they not know that Arthur is lying? Well, it goes back to what I was saying. They don't have their full capacity powers in this realm. So they don't actually have their god abilities to look at Arthur's history, right? To see if he's lying or not. Or maybe Amit is masking it.
Well, that's why they go through if they were omnipotent and all-knowing, there wouldn't be any point to the avatars.
Yeah, exactly.
So having someone on Earth, on this realm or whatever, be their spokesperson.
And they're purposely over there because they're selfish piece of shits and they don't want to be affected by anything. Well, this is true, right? Like, they are purposely in that void because they don't want anything to affect them and their livelihood. They don't give a rat's ass what happens in this universe.
Egyptian gods are not omnipotent, so humans are kind of like ants. We're there, we do stuff for them, we make sacrifices.
Yeah, you're their slave.
Yeah, that's basically how they see us.
Yeah, they're just, it's just that's why they didn't do anything during Thanos, because it's just like, it's their reality TV show. They're just like, oh, look, all the humans, half the humans died. Cool.
Look, he's doing one of these snapping.
Yeah, he did the snap thing again. Oh shit! No one will happen next season. I really like these guys. For
Desperate Avengers. All right, let's give it a score out of 10. What do you guys give it, Nathan?
I'm gonna give this one an 8, not because there's anything necessarily.
Is that your lowest score?
That is. It's not that this was a horrible episode. It's just this one wasn't as engaging and as exciting for me. It didn't feel like the other ones. The pacing was great. There's moments where I was kind of put in the perspective of the main character, where you kind of don't know what's going on. There's that fear. There's that horror aspect to some of the scenes with Khonshu that would frighten you. The action scenes were really good. This one, it was good, but it wasn't exceptional. It didn't get my heart racing at any point.
Yeah, I'd say the same kind of thing. I'll give it a 7 though.
Whoa, 7.
Yeah, like it was like
That
it was
is your
fine.
lowest score. I know that because we never had any 7s.
No, I gave it a 9 last time. I would have given
Yeah.
it a 10 if it wasn't for the garbage fucking Mandarin.
What did you guys give it in episode 1? Do you guys remember?
I think a 9 too, 8 or 9.
I think mine was somewhere there too. I think 8.5. I can't remember. I have to go
Yeah,
back.
it was just the CG. But yeah,
Yeah.
this one, like, now that I'm thinking about it too, like, even just like the storage, when he's in the storage lockers and you see Conchu and the flashing lights, like there was a lot of cool imagery and a lot of cool shots. And this one just didn't really have anything visually that I gave a shit about. When they went into the tomb, it was just like, oh, cool CG tomb thing with a bunch of statues, and then they like had to Photoshop their eyes, and it was just like, oh, now they're talking. The fight scenes were shot horribly. The CG was okay in a bunch of parts. Slow motion kick was dumb. He didn't even kick anybody. He just like flailed his leg and then a guy fell over or something. I don't remember. There wasn't any cool like death scenes or like brutal moments. He held a knife to a guy once and it was just and then the story was kind of like whatever. And,
For
it was
for a
pretty
character
meh.
that's supposed to be violent, I didn't see a whole lot of blood.
Yeah. Also,
Maybe
this was
all of them in the
directed by the
first
same.
episode.
Sorry.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, in the first episode where like he blacks out and wakes up in that German place, just holding the scarab covered in blood with blood everywhere else.
Yeah.
And this was directed by the Mohammed,
the first guy. Yeah.
what's his name? Diab, I think.
I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one an 8. Yeah, I think an 8 is the number I'm gonna give it to. There were some things I didn't like about the show, but it still keeps my interest going. I'm not getting off the wagon here.
No, not at all. Like I'm still interested, but yeah, like this was definitely like a low point of the season. I think it'll definitely pick up. I don't have any doubts or think it's getting shitty. It's just like, oh, this is just not a filler episode, but like for a TV show, like these episodes are kind of necessary. Like there has to be, or it usually is, some like lower points.
I also think that Jake is gonna show up at the very end, which is unfortunate because I would love to see Jake in episode 5 or 6. I just have the feeling they're gonna show him at the very end. So that sucks.
I think they'll show him in episode 5. I think they'll build him up.
Is that your prediction? Okay, Justin, what do you think?
More.
What episode they're gonna show him?
I think probably 5 makes more sense because they've only kind of hinted this episode that there's a third or another person in the head. And yeah, so I think maybe they'll lean into it a bit more. Oh wait, everyone directed this one. That's why. Okay. So the first episode was done by Mohammed Diab, and then the second episode was directed by the two dudes.
Two dudes.
Yeah, that's their official.
That is their official name.
Title. Justin
dudes.
Benson and Aaron Moorhead. And this episode was done by all 3. So,
all right, so
that kind of feels like like too many cooks.
Yeah, and it felt like that too. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it was just kind of bland. So I don't know.
Hopefully next week picks up. I mean, I'm looking for more adventure. Digging and hunting, tomb, raiders kind of thing like that. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing Steven unlock things. I mean, I definitely want to see more puzzle solving to get there, but I also understand they don't have the time frame to do it anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would definitely like to see some booby traps, things like that when they go to this tomb, because they got to have it, right? I mean, every pyramid or mummy has a booby trap for their sarcophagus, right?
Yeah. I lied. It was just done by Mohammed Diab. So
Mohammed Diab. All right. Was there anything else? No? I guess we'll be here. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 4. Sound good?
Awesome.
Sound good.
All right.
Nathan,
so
you look like you had something to say.
I was just thinking, have they actually called him Moon Knight in any of the episodes yet?
Nope.
Or no?
No. Interesting. They've called him the suit.
Maybe Commissioner Gordon will call him that.
Yeah, they'll get a crescent moon in the sky, and then they'll be like, "Fuck, there's already one up there."
This is confusing.
No, they put two together, make it a full moon.
Yeah. Or it's a new moon, so there's no moon in the sky, and then there's a crescent moon, and he's just like, "Oh, moon's out. Moon looks lovely
A
tonight."
whole new world. All right, we'll wrap it up for today, and we'll be back next week to talk about episode 4. So wherever you are on the world or the universe, have yourself a good morning, a good day, and a good night.
Bye, internet.